Welcome back to the channel. Today, we will dive into 10 things you should never do on a Harley Davidson motorcycle. 10. Forgetting to change the oil. When it comes to Harleys, oil isn't just important. It's everything. Most Harley engines are air-cooled, meaning they don't have a traditional radiator like a car. Instead, the oil itself helps with cooling. Old, dirty oil can't cool properly, and that heat builds up fast. Over time, sludge forms, robbing your engine of lubrication. Metal parts grind harder. Your oil pump works overtime, and eventually, critical components like camshafts and lifters suffer serious damage. Then there's the moisture. Short rides in cold weather can cause condensation inside your engine. If you don't change the oil regularly, that moisture mixes in, thinning the oil and creating corrosion. This results in premature engine wear and a much shorter lifespan for your beloved V-twin. The smart move? Follow the oil change schedule religiously. For most Harleys, that's every 5,000 miles for engine oil, and don't forget the transmission and primary oil changes too. Quality oil is cheap insurance for a bike that's built to last. 9. Selling the original parts. Swapping out stock parts is practically a tradition in Harley culture. Custom exhausts, handlebars, seats. Modding your bike is part of making it yours. But here's where riders screw up. They sell off the original parts. What's the harm? Let's break it down. First, if you ever decide to sell the bike, buyers love having the stock parts included. Collectors in particular pay more for a bike with all its factory pieces. Even regular buyers like knowing they can revert to stock if needed. Second, some aftermarket parts don't age well. That high-performance exhaust might sound mean today, but if it cracks, rusts, or fails emissions tests down the road, you'll wish you still had the factory exhaust to throw back on. Third, if you sell off factory parts, you'll almost always incur a loss. Harley OEM parts hold value better than cheap aftermarket replacements. So customize all you want, but stash those stock parts somewhere safe. 8. Riding with worn or incorrectly inflated tires. Harleys are big, heavy bikes, and all that weight sits on just 2 contact patches, the size of your palm. Those patches are your lifeline for braking, cornering, and keeping your ride smooth and safe. Riding on worn-out tires kills your handling, making the bike feel unstable, especially in curves or on wet roads. Worn tread means less grip, and on a Harley, that's a recipe for disaster. Then there's tire pressure. Too low and the tires flex too much, generating excess heat and wearing unevenly. Too high and you lose grip and comfort, turning your smooth cruiser into a bone-rattling nightmare. Here's the kicker. Harleys are more sensitive to tire issues than small bikes. The weight and torque of that big V-twin punish bad tires faster than you think. The solution's simple. Check your tire pressure before every ride. Yes, every ride. And keep an eye on tread depth. When it's worn down to 2/32 of an inch, or you spot cracks or bulges, it's time to replace. Don't gamble your safety on old rubber. 7. Using cheap tools on your bike. Working on your Harley yourself is awesome, if you do it right. But here's where some riders go wrong. They grab the cheapest tools they can find and expect good results. Harleys are built tough, but they're also built precisely. Bolts, fasteners, and components are designed for exact tolerances, and low-quality tools don't grip properly. One slip and you've rounded off a bolt, scratched up your chrome, or even cracked an expensive part. It's not just the wrenches either. Cheap torque wrenches lie to you. You think you've tightened something just right, but in reality, you've either under-torqued it, risking failure, or over-torqued it, damaging the threads. The bottom line? Invest in quality tools. Brands like Snap-on, Craftsman, or even Milwaukee may cost more up front, but they'll save you thousands in mistakes. 6. Leaving your bike dirty in winter. Riding season ends, and your Harley sits in the garage. No big deal, right? Wrong. If you leave your bike dirty, dirt, grime, road salt, All those contaminants sitting on your paint, chrome, and metal don't just sit there. They slowly eat away at your bike. Salt corrodes metal fast. Moisture gets trapped under dirt, and those shiny parts you love, they start pitting and rusting before spring even arrives. But that's not even the worst part. Dirt and old chain lube trap moisture against your chain and sprockets, accelerating wear. Leftover bugs and tar in your exhaust, that stuff can permanently etch your chrome. So before you store your Harley for the winter, give it a serious deep clean. Wash, dry, wax, and for extra protection, spray down the exposed metal with a corrosion inhibitor like ACF 50. Cover it properly, and come spring, you'll be ready to ride, not spending hours fixing rust spots. 5. Over-tightening bolts. Here's a mistake even experienced riders make: cranking bolts down like they're working on a Mack truck. Harley Davidson has torque specs for a reason. Every bolt from your drain plug to your handlebar risers is designed to hold tight at a precise torque value. Go past that, you're stretching threads, warping parts, and risking cracks, especially on softer aluminum pieces. It's not just strength either. Over-tightened bolts are actually more likely to come loose because they deform the mating surfaces, making them vibrate more. Oil drain plugs are one of the biggest victims. Strip those threads, and you're looking at a costly repair, or worse, a whole new oil pan. So instead, use a proper torque wrench and follow your manual specs to the letter. And if you feel like just a little more won't hurt, it will. 4. Neglecting your belt. Most Harleys use a belt instead of a chain. This is better because it's low maintenance and runs cleaner. But low maintenance doesn't mean no maintenance. Belts wear out over time, especially if you ride on dirty roads, hit potholes, or carry heavy loads. Rocks and debris can get caught between the belt and sprocket, creating tiny cuts that weaken the fibers inside. If you ignore those cuts, snap. Suddenly, you're stuck on the side of the road, and replacing a belt isn't cheap. Plus, if the belt fails while riding, it could damage your swing arm or sprockets. That's even more cash out of your pocket. What should you do instead? Inspect your belt regularly, especially after long rides. Look for cracks, fraying edges, or embedded debris. And don't forget the tension. A belt that's too loose can slip, while one that's too tight can wear out your bearings and pulleys. 3. Doing a wheelie. Look, we get it. Wheelies look cool. But on a Harley? You're asking for trouble. These bikes are heavy, long, and designed for cruising, not stunting. When you yank that front wheel up, all that weight slams back down on your fork seals, bearings, and front tire. Do it often enough, and you'll start seeing leaks, premature wear, and even bent forks. And it's not just the front end. Your clutch, belt, or chain, and even your frame take a hit every time you land hard. Harleys weren't born to stunt. They were built to rumble down the road with style and torque for days. So if you want to stunt, grab a dirt bike. If you want your Harley to last for years, keep both wheels on the ground. 2. Forgetting to change brake pads. You might love the sound of your pipes, but if you're hearing squeals or grinding from your brakes, you're way past due. Brake pads are wear parts, and on a heavy machine like a Harley, they wear faster than you think, especially if you ride 2 up or fully loaded. Let them go too long, and you're scoring their rotors, which turns a cheap pad swap into a pricey brake overhaul. The key is inspection. For every oil change, check your pads. If there's less than 2 millimeters of material left, it's time. And don't cheap out on no-name pads either. Quality matters when you're hauling a 700-pound bike to a shop. 1. Neglecting the air filter. Here's one that flies under the radar, but it can quietly rob your power and mileage. Your air filter feeds the bike, making sure your engine gets clean, unrestricted airflow. But if it's clogged with dirt, bugs, and road grime, your engine can't breathe properly. That means you're running rich, losing power, and burning more fuel than necessary. On a Harley, the air filter is front and center, sucking in everything the road throws at it. Regular inspection and cleaning or replacement keeps your engine breathing easy. Ignore it long enough, and you could even damage sensors or mess with your fuel injection system. One more thing, always invest in a motorcycle cover. It will prevent dust, moisture, and debris from finding their way into your bike. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our posts.